Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is an Object 268. It's a Tier 10 Soviet tank destroyer. It's located on the northeast border of Karelia, and it's under the command of Awppenheimer. And he's got 2 marks of excellence on the barrel of his gun. Game underway. Well, this tank destroyer is armed with a 152mm main gun. It's capable of doing 750 alpha, and it'll penetrate 303mm with standard AP, and with the heat rounds it'll go through 395mm, so it's got tremendous pen. It's based on the T10. You can probably tell that from looking at the front, because it's got the pike nose, but it's also got that strip, that kind of barrier that goes across the front in a kind of V shape. And in fact, actually, that's to stop water running over the driver if he's got the hatch open. It's kind of a dam. In fact, you can see that on most Soviet tanks, including the T-54 and T-55. Well, first shot hits the lower plate of the Chieftain. He fires one back, and unfortunately he did get the driver on this instance. Now, they only made one prototype of this tank. It was never put into mass production, even though it passed the trials, which is kind of odd if you think about it. If you spend all the time and trouble trying to make it, and then you shelve it. They started work on it in 1952, and by 1956 they had the prototype, and shortly after thereabouts they decided, they put it through the trials. Yeah, everything worked out okay. He's trying for the tank destroyer that happens to be sitting behind that bush, but didn't get it. Is he going to try again? Yeah, he does. But there's nobody there, or at least if there is somebody there, they've pulled back. Now, you don't get a whole lot of ammunition in this tank. It's only 35 rounds in total, so you have to be careful you don't blow away a huge amount of ammunition. But he seems to think the blind shots are worth it for the moment, just in case he does get a hit. Now, it's only got a top speed of 48 kilometers an hour, so it's not particularly fast. But there again, the T10 is not particularly fast either, for that matter. It does have fairly good armor. 187mm on the front, on the hull. Can he get another shot into that 60 TP? It'd be rather nice if he did. Oh, crumbs, he takes him out completely with his next shot. So 775 the first time, the high roll. 525 is all he had left after that. Now, it does have excellent penetration on this gun. Very good DPM. The reload time by standard is 15.82 seconds, and Oppenheimer's got it down to 12.64, which is very reasonable. And its aim is very accurate as well. Look at that. Smack on target, right on the weak spot. No problem going straight through there. But that Type 5 decided he needs to pull back. He's in grave trouble otherwise. Oh, he kills the Patton! That was an M48 Patton he just took out. Wow. So 2 kills now. Ah, but the Type 5 just decided to punch one back because he wasn't spotted. And that one, well, he was trying for it, but now he has to pull back. The Type 5 will be reloading. He doesn't want to give the guy an easy chance. He's now going to shoot over the top of the rock. But of course, he doesn't have much in the way of gun elevation, but he did hit the Type 5 there. Not sure if that pen though. Let me have a look at the marks. No, it doesn't look as if he did pen. I can't be certain though. That one did. 711, a low roll. A Centurion Action 10 is trying to creep round by the dip. But we're staying focused on the Type 5 for the moment. There's the Centurion. No, he's pulled back behind the rocks. Now, this tank destroyer does have decent top speed as well. If you think about it, 48 kilometers an hour is not a huge amount of speed. But compared to the competitors, it's fairly good. It also has very good front armor. You'll see that when you see the armor profile. the bad thing about this tank, well, I suppose you could say the front armour does have some weak spots, and if you can get them, then you can pen it. And the gun handling on the move is not that great, so if you are firing on the move, chances are you're not going to get a great result. He's down, he's used up all his premium ammo, now he's firing AP, but he can still pen that Type 5. Oh, and the Centurion tries a sneaky shot. While we were focusing on Type 5, again you can see they were aiming low to try and get the weak spots. The other thing it does have is very poor gun depression. It's only got 5 degrees, which makes it very difficult to fight in ridgelines with this thing. And, well, the gun elevation is only 15 degrees as well, which means, as you can see, when he pulled back to try and shoot over the rock, oh, he killed the Type 5 with a blind fire shot. So all his blind shots were actually worthwhile in the end, because he did get the guy. Type 5 must have felt he was fairly secure sitting where he was, but it turned out he wasn't. Okay, well, with 3 kills now, Awppenheimer's switching to try and go through the centre, because there's an object 140, and that was one of the guys who hit him earlier on in the game, and I think he wants to take that guy out and come up on the horseshoe and try and deal with that T95 FB4201 Chieftain. Another bad point about this tank destroyer is its gun arc. It doesn't have much. 22 degrees, that's 11 degrees either side, which kind of restricts your ability to hit the enemy. If they're fast moving and they can get around you, then they can deal quite a lot of damage. He's definitely going to go up onto the horseshoe. So if there is somebody up here, they're about to get a nasty shock when he turns up. And there's the Chieftain, he's sitting down on the corner. Now, our Sixth Sense didn't go off, but he popped up, and now he's about to get hit from behind, and he's already being hit from the front, and there's his kill shot. Now, that Object 140 is next. We're going for the 5th kill. There's only 6 enemies left. The 140 is ready for us. And he fires one through. Oh, he got a fire! And he got the kill, so that's an arsonist. And now they're homing in on the last few enemy. There's a Jaeger and a Centurion Action 10. And we've seen that Centurion Action 10 before, and he's already got 2 kills. There's the T92 HMC. Could this be a Top Gun moment? Oh! What are you doing, 60TP? You just took away a possible Top Gun. You're going to have to shoot underneath the barrel. No, we missed out on that one because somebody else claimed a T92. It was our Jaeger. And there's the enemy Centurion Action 10 ahead of us. There's still 3 enemies left. But that 60TP owes us an apology. He's a bit of a noob. But by coming up behind Awppenheimer, he robbed him of a Top Gun. He can get another hit on that Centurion. He can take his Top Gun. So long as that 60TP doesn't try to do it again. We're stunned at the moment. And the 60TP is trying to kill the Centurion himself. He should know better than to make another faux pas by trying to get in the way of a good player. Oh, and we didn't get that one through. It ricocheted off the front. Now we've got to wait for the reload. And that Centurion's more than likely going to get taken out. He is taken out by the 60TP. So that 60TP, not very bad player, doing what he did. Well, we got a hit on the Jaeger, but we got smacked by the GWE100. The Jaeger's gone, which now means all we've got left is the GWE, and we're not close enough to get a shot on him. Our teammates are going to spot him before we do. And there he is, and yeah, we've been robbed of a Top Gun by the 60TP player. Here's the end of battle stats, and that was an ace tanker game for Awppenheimer in the Object 268. He got a fire effect for doing more damage than the hit points for his own vehicle, a fighter badge for getting at least 4 kills. It was actually 5, and it would have been a Top Gun, but for that 60 TP. I'll make sure that we find out who that is. He got some arsonists because he set light to the Object 140 and watched him go up in flames. Fantastic. Just one shot. That was all that's needed. And he also got a duelist for taking down 2 tanks who damaged him. A bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. He got 5 exactly. And he also got a Hand of God for surviving the battle, having received damage from more than 4 different enemy tanks. He also picked up a high caliber, so he would have had a Top Gun and a high caliber if he had taken out that Centurion. And it was very bad form for the 60 TP to try and do that when he saw that Awppenheimer was already on 5 kills and homing in for the last one. But that was very bad to run into the back of him, block him from coming out, and then to steal the kill away from Awppenheimer when he could have taken it and got that Top Gun, been the high scorer. Let's have a look at the team scores. Oh, before we go, win 8, 9,847. He was by far the leading player on the team. Look at that, 7,995 hit points of damage. The next high scorer turned out to be the 60 TP. There he is. Actually, just bring it up. There you go. And he's under the name of Cheesty01. Yeah, you need to learn a bit of etiquette because it was very bad the way you played in that one. You really did screw up Awppenheimer's chances of getting a top medal. And you really shouldn't do that because it really upsets other players. And that's why people get blocked when they do that sort of thing. We'll just check that that's his real name. I mean, we're not doxing somebody. We're just saying, you know, you need to be aware that if you do that, you are going to upset a lot of players. Yep, there we go. We've seen his details now. We'll go back and finish off the team results. Well, he got the second highest damage, but he upset people in doing it. The T92 HMC on the enemy team was their highest scorer with 3,181 hit points and the third highest in damage. When it came to kills, it was Awppenheimer who did the best with 5 kills. Would have been 6. Definitely would have been 6, but for that 60 TP. And 2 kills went to the Jaeger on his own team, who also got a Pascucci's medal, so he must have killed at least 2 Arty. And those must have been his only kills. And Centurion Action 10 on the enemy team managed to get 2 kills as well. And the 60 TP, well, he picked up a Spartan and a steel wall. Yes, as well as picking up a lot of people who are very disgruntled with him. Anyway, when it came to base XP, yeah, he's got that one as well. So he's got the top in all 3 columns. 1,216 base experience points. He's the only player to get over 1,000. The next highest scorer being that 60 TP with 915, and 871 goes to the Object 260. Yes. So let's have a look at detail. He fired 24 shots in that game, so he still had 11 shots spare at the end of the game. 15 direct hits on the enemy and 12 penetrations. So there was 9 rounds that didn't actually hit the enemy, but of course he did get that blind shot and blind kill on the Type 5. So it did work out well that he was making those blind shots. 7,995 hit points of damage, of which 5,978 were at more than 300 meters. So vast majority of his damage done at long range. He received 7 hits, but only 3 of them actually penetrated. 4 non-penetrations and 4 hits by way of splash because people were having trouble trying to get shots into him, and in fact the Arty started doing it at the end of the game. 1,460 hit points of damage blocked by armor. 7 enemy vehicles were damaged, 5 were killed, 241 hit points of damage assistance. He earned 75,768 credits on a premium account, 18,942 from personal reserves, 105,000 for completing a mission, and 199,710 credits are altogether. And after repair, ammunition, resupply and consumables, and yes, he did fire a fair amount of premium ammo, even as blind shots, he still ended up with a profit of 38,929, but if he played on a free-to-play account, he would have made a small loss. He got 7 bonds because it was tier 10, and 1,824 XP times 2 for the first victory, and 3,648 experience points altogether. So let's have a look at the Object 268 armor profile. No, we've seen that. Thank you very much. Okay, I've actually done the hybrid view this time to actually show you where the heavy armor is. You can see it's actually around this flat plates. This tank destroyer really isn't supposed to go hull down because, as I said, it's only got 5 degrees of gun depression. If we go to the live model, you can see there are weak spots, but there are also fairly strong points on the vehicle. You're looking at the driver's viewport area. It's very difficult to get a shot in there. It's only 60mm to get in, but the upper plate is 135, well angled. It comes out at 235. Lower plate, which is only 135, but coming out at 231. Most tanks, if they can see this thing, will actually try and get the lower plate if they can, and that's why he was getting tracked a few times, because they were aiming for the lower plate and they actually hit the tracks instead. The upper hull, you can see, well, you're not going to aim here because, of course, it'll ricochet off. You can see that when it's actually straight on looking at you, you've got massive armor on some of these points here. It's sort of like 187, which is, as I said, the maximum on the hull, but it's angled, so it comes out at 264. The side armor, you can see again, it's got spaced armor, and it's angled here, so if a shell comes through, more than likely going to bounce down into the tracks. But if you can punch it through and get the side armor, it's only 18mm at the side and 100mm on the side of the casement. And at the rear, we're looking at 30mm on the rear plate, and on the rear of the casement, it's only 50mm. But of course, you don't expect the enemy to ever get behind you in one of these, because of course it's got a big gun, 750 Alpha. If they do try and get close, they're going to get splattered. And the viewport here, you can see 120mm up top, which is about 128. So that is a weak spot you can aim for if you get close to one of these tank destroyers and to try and take it out. But of course, if he is hull down and he's looking at you, that's probably the best weak spot to aim for, either that or the lower plate. Anyway, that's the armor. Let's have a look at the modules. Okay, we've got a driver sitting up front in a reclined position, which is kind of unusual, but I suppose they were actually taking the design cues from some of the British and American tanks, which were actually starting to use reclined position for the crew. We've got masses of ammo racks all over the place. There's 2 either side of the casement, and you saw that's spaced armor there, which is angled so that the shell will actually go down into the tracks if it actually hits it. There's another ammo rack behind the driver in the hull, and there's 2 loaders sitting at the back feeding the shells in from both of those ammo racks. We've got the gunner on the right hand side, tank commander sitting directly behind him. He's also got the radio, so he's also a radio operator in this one. And the engine at the rear is, well, it's got 4 fuel tanks. The standard engine is sandwiched by 2 fuel tanks either side, but another 2 directly behind the engine with the transmission directly behind those. So I think you could say, if you can actually get the sides of this vehicle, aim for low just before the bit where it actually meets the hull. So you want to get low on the casement, punch it in through the sides. You'll either get a crew member or you might get that ammo rack. Chances of getting the ammo rack are fairly slim. The only other way of doing it is to actually punch a hole through in between the first set of tracks to try and hit that ammo rack the other side of the hull, because it's very difficult to get any of the others, and you're only going to hit crew. So yes, difficult to get an ammo rack in this one unless you can get the shell through that very small gap just there. That's where you need to aim. There's not much you can say except it's the bit just above the hull. That's the weak spot to the hull itself, as you saw in the previous video. Previous bit is only 100mm here, so if you can punch around through there, most tanks you should be able to do that. But it's this area here, just next to the bit where it starts getting angled. That's where to aim for. That will get you a ammo rack if you can. So I hope you enjoyed that replay. If you did, please give this video a like. Do subscribe to our channel. Leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm. And please do recommend us to other players who happen to want to watch good replays. We've tried our best to tell everyone about this channel, but still not many people actually watch this channel or our sister channel, The General, where you can watch fantastic replays that get pools medals or higher. And we've seen a lot of replays just recently where people are getting 12 kills, missing out on actually platooning with 2 other players, even if they didn't survive the battle, so they can pick up their crucial contributions. But yes, you've seen some fantastic replays on the other channel, but it's well worth having a look over there. If you want to see a replay that only lasts about 10 to 15 minutes, there's plenty of them, and virtually everyone is a humdinger of a match, because you get to see some of these tanks from the very lowest tiers all the way right up to the top. Players getting fantastic games. Well worth a look to see what is available. So thank you very much for watching.